Now I'm going to talk about the Facebook login, the lobby activities, and the synchronization. So first off, let's look at the login for the app. So if we go into the login tab in the UI, we see three different activities. For the login activity, this first entry is mostly for Facebook login. For traditional login, it actually goes through the login fragment, and that's handled here. But if you specifically want to work with Facebook login and editing how that works, it will be done in the login activity. Also, when a new user is added through the login activity, they're added to Firebase as well, and that would happen here when we set the mod listener. Now you'll notice there also is an activity called login Facebook that really isn't used. It's an activity that's mainly meant to just test that your values are getting passed correctly, but you can use this pretty much for whatever. Now for the lobby stuff, if we go to the create game activities, here let's start with create multiplayer lobby activity. Alright, so before we start getting into the code, actually let's just do a quick run through of how this should look. So when you're in here, if you open up the main menu, you go to multiplayer. I'm going to be talking about this part. When you enter the lobby, you see a list of all the available rooms at the time. If a user is not currently subscribed to a room, they're able to create a new room. If they're in a room for whatever reason, and somehow they're in this screen, then this menu option is not going to be available. So if you create a new room, you can pick a name, submit, and you'll get taken to the create multiplayer lobby waiting activity. But we're not going to do that just yet. Let's talk about how this is getting populated. So in the create multiplayer lobby activity, you can see here that there's a Firebase list adapter object. Now this can actually get changed around a bit, but here you can actually use whatever kind of layout you want. Right now it's pretty ugly. It's just a simple list item 2 layout. You can actually look up the different kind of layouts for this and kind of design it however you want. The subtext is what's on the bottom, and this is the room name, and you can set that up however. It's based off the room model, which we have in entities over here. So whenever you click on a room, it fires off the on-click listener that just asks if they want, pretty much a confirmation screen if they want to join. If they do, they're automatically taken to the room, which is in create multiplayer lobby waiting activity. So whether you join a room or you create your own, either way you're going to the same lobby waiting activity where there's some synchronization that's done. So if we go here, the way this works is, for the most part, once you're in the room, you find out who's in the room with you, and then you populate their data on the fly. So let's say, for example, I make a room, and I submit. So here I'm automatically loaded in. I'm the host. I can ready up, and if someone else were to join this room right now, their information is automatically loaded in, and then I can listen to their ready button and see the changes there as well. So this is not like a direct connection. This is all done through the database. So when someone joins in Firebase, I can see that a player has been added to the room. Let's see if I can show you where that happens. So on child added, we load their information through this method. And if they leave the room and they're not the host, then their information just goes back to empty and we can just wait for the next person to come in. So on the case where both players are in the room, we can actually start a game by both players clicking ready. A countdown timer will begin for 10 seconds, and then they're redirected to the create game activity. Sorry, the create multiplayer game activity, which then will go to create multiplayer game fragment, which will then go to start multiplayer game activity, and start multiplayer game fragment, where we do synchronization through things like database listeners. A couple important things about how these are working is this is actually where the Arduino connections are being made as well. So in this case, this is extending from Arduino's communication fragment. You can press Ctrl B on any of these things to see the definitions. So here, some things are automatically defined for you, like on resume, on pause, error dialogues, and just general interactivity with the Arduinos. There's also it's either in start game or the create multiplayer game fragment. We have the Arduino start communication fragment. I mentioned before that this is the starting point before we go to the start multiplayer game activity. That's because at this point we have to actually make that connection in the first place. So we can do Control B to follow where that's happening, and you can actually look through this, but if you want, you can treat it like a black box for the most part, because not a lot of work should be done on this section unless you're going to be changing to the Raspberry Pis this semester. Just understand that when you go to an activity that extends from this class, you're creating a connection. The way the connection works is if you connect to SkillCourt, a network called SkillCourt with the password Gumi2016 capital G, then this connection is going to automatically pick up whatever pads are on your network with the IPs that you set. So the IPs that you set would be in the Arduino manager here. So things like this host, this is a pad IP, they're static. This isn't the right IP though. And this one here. And so we add these, and those are considered like our pads that we can use to play SkillCourt. And that's the major workflow for how it works. I would actually show you going past this grid, but I don't actually have any pads, so it's just going to say verifying our Arduinos and it's going to spin. So that's about it for this section. Thank you.